protection around you as possible. Lowest level of your home. If you've got a basement, great. A lot of homes here don't. Lowest level, away from the big windows. So let's put the tracker on here. Basically, this will be right over Belmont, we think, or just to the east of Belmont at about 1026 here. Mount Holly at about 1037, and it might be a little bit faster than that. It's slowly moving, though. It's only off at about 15 miles per hour. So again, that's 279. Highway 29, and here's where it is right now. It's essentially right at 485, just south of the airport. So I've got to imagine that with an airport, we have what we call an airport weather warning right now, that they're more than likely are stopping traffic out there. So if you're in the Coolwood area at Oakdale, you're probably okay. You're to the east of this, but if you're west of that line, right along that I-85 corridor, as soon as you go over the bridge there at Wilkinson Boulevard, this is the area. So right in through here, we're seeing, again, a little bit of a couplet coming on up. It's radar indicated. But it really flared up very quickly. So that's what we were saying. In fact, Eric, let's go back and take a look at that again as we can look at the little bit of a loop here if we can. So we're looking at the Doppler radar coming up, and right about in through here we saw just a little bit of a couplet. It looked very interesting for just a moment or two. And again, these things, that's the nature of tropical systems. They'll flare up very quickly and die down very quickly. And again, we don't have ground truth to this. There's nobody saying that it's on the ground just yet. But there are some reports out there that, hey, we're starting to see things pick up a little bit. So we're going to monitor this, and this is the area that we're watching. 485, Charlotte Airport. Steel Creek is just to the south and heading down towards Fort Mill. And then northward, this is the area that you're going to be concerned about. Belmont right now. So here's your heaviest rain. And there's been tons of rain here already. I've been watching the camera in downtown Belmont. It's just been pouring all morning. But right in through here, we see a little bit of a brightness. It was crossing right there at 49 and 160 between there, and then it came right up 485, that little bit of a couplet, and we're seeing that advance northward. So right in through there, that looks pretty impressive right there. So we'll just watch this right there, coming right across Shopton and Dixie, and then that expands northward as it goes up towards Belmont. So if you're over there, say by the Drift Restaurant, this is Reflection Point Boulevard, 273 coming out towards South Point High School. Hopefully the schools are all locked down and taking this seriously, because this is heading right in that direction. And again, you can see the Catawba River right there. So this is about to cross the river. Eric, let's get in a little closer in here and see. So that's right there. So that's very close to the Drift Restaurant. I know that area right in there. So there's Berry Hill. So some of the Stowe Road, that's 273. And again, that's heading up out towards the Vineyards Place, and again, going right across that region. So if you're in Belmont, you want to take this very seriously. Again, lowest level of your home. You want to be away from those big glass windows, not upstairs, not upstairs. In fact, I'm going to step out. I want you to see this. This is right what we want you to do. This is your home, say, okay, where do you want to be? In an interior closet, bathroom, or hallway, somewhere where you're putting as many layers of protection around you as possible. So you get the idea, right? You've got a roof over your head and you've got walls here, the outside walls. Now we want to get in a little bit closer, and we want to be in these interior walls, because that's putting more walls of protection around you. So this is the place to be. We don't want to be on the exterior here, the bedroom, the garage. Interior, if you've got a basement, fantastic, go there. Again, not saying hang out there all day. This is another 15 minutes, this warning. But for now, this is the safest place to be. Kitchen, living room, big windows, not so much. We want to be in the hall, in the bathroom. Again, as many walls of protection around you as possibly, both vertically and horizontally here. All right, let's go on back to the radar and take another peek, Eric, and see where this thing is right now. Again, we saw a little bit of a flare-up. As we've mentioned when we broke in earlier here at about 9:15, this is entirely likely that we're going to see this through the day today. That's all part and parcel. I know you're saying, well, wait a minute, I thought it was a hurricane. Yes, it is a hurricane, but the idea is that these things also bring with them not just rain and wind, but unfortunately they bring tornadoes, and we've seen this before. And right now we have a tornado warning. So it's now right at 10 o'clock. If you're joining us, I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Garlick. Eric Garlick is with me. I'm Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin. But we're watching is a potential tornado here, West Mecklenburg County into Gaston County. It looks as if this is going to lift pretty quickly now into Gaston County, moving northwest. So I'm not going to give the all clear on Mecklenburg yet, but this is the area that we're watching. And this is heading up between Belmont and Mount Holly. It looks like right there is 85. So let's go in a little bit closer, Eric, if we can shift over and see that radar rotation and see, again, the motion of this and where it's going. Some of the streets, some of the areas that we're concerned about. There's Wallace Neal Road. just to the south and west of the airport here. And so this is going to be coming across Mount Olive Church Road, Walker's Ferry Road. We know that one. That one runs right over to the river, and then north from there. This is Casper Drive in South Belmont. Dixie Road, we know that, Dixie Drive, okay, over by the river. So now we're going over into Gaston County, that's Davis River Road. So again, if you're in this area, that's the area of most concern right now. So we're watching this, and this is until 10:15 this morning. Here's Belmont. That's Highway 29 and 74. 85 is just to the north of that. Of course, South Point High School is right about in here. So again, let's take a look at that. All right, we're going to go over, and I want to show the downtown Belmont camera. This is right there at Main Street, and this is showing down towards, looking down towards Stowe Park. So right now, this would be looking in a direction towards whatever is coming our way. This is looking towards the south, almost due south. So this is Main Street there at the Chamber of Commerce. If you know any of the restaurants there, that's Nellie's on the left, Stowe Botanical, or rather Stowe Park is all the way down on the right across from Sammy's there. But you can see the rain that just continues to come down. Doesn't look like a lot of wind there right now. But again, radar indicated it's a little bit south and west. So if you're in this area right now, you want to take precautions, you want to take warning, and you want to make sure that you are safe right now. So let's go back to the radar very quickly. And there you can see it. And Eric's got a new track on this. So at 10:17, so that's in about 13, 14 minutes or so, this would be coming up to Belmont. So again, it looked relatively peaceful at the moment, rain coming down, but it didn't look very ominous at the moment. But again, this is heading in your direction. So we're seeing these rotations, and I'm telling you, this is going to be a long day and a long night, because we're going to see more and more of these bands come up. So unfortunately, I think this is probably only the second of potentially many tornado watches, or rather warnings. And keep in mind, we don't even have a watch out. So this is, it's not catching us off guard. We knew this would potentially be an issue. However, I expect that with all this happening, National Weather Service is eventually going to go ahead and pull a watch for our area, just to make sure everybody understands that, yeah, we have the potential here. So again, from Center City, this is a good ways away. It's not an issue for us at all, but this little sliver of Mecklenburg County and that eastern section of York County, I'm sorry, not York County, but Gaston County, coming up towards Berry Hill, crossing 85 now, we're seeing this. This is what it looks like in the more conventional radar. I'm showing you some of the colors that are, you know, less than conventional, but it's an idea that we can see in there and see if there's any sort of a spin up going on. And again, there's a little bit of a couplet. So a radar indicated doesn't mean there's necessarily ground truth to that, but that's what we're seeing. And so the Weather Service is seeing it as well. Boom, they pulled the trigger on that. And as I say, there may be more, because this is just one of several of these that we're tracking. Let's widen it out a little bit, Eric, if we could, and see if there's much more down the road from here. Yeah, and there is another big cell coming up through York County. That's TKK right there. So again, all of these, they're drifting northwest around the center of circulation of Helene, which is still out into the Gulf of Mexico. Hadn't even arrived yet, but any one of these has the potential of spinning up a quick tornado. I want to send it back into the First Alert Weather Center with Eric Garley. Eric, what are you seeing out there right now on your end?
Yeah, Al, just wanted to walk you through a couple of those different vantage points that we were talking about earlier with that last tornado warning that we did have moving through the area. So this one really close to the radar, giving us a really good image of what the winds are doing, and that is why the National Weather Service went ahead and issued that tornado warning for this cell. This is moving right toward Belmont there. We're going to be close to Park Road and Wilkinson Boulevard there, moving right through downtown Belmont, and going to be eventually moving right over I-85. So let's jump into the winds and let's kind of talk about the different vantage points that we do have. So we'll start with our WBTV high definition first alert radar, which gives us a really good image, high resolution data, and some of the highest resolution data that you can find here in the metro. But that area of circulation, when the National Weather Service did issue this tornado warning, definitely warranted it. You can see the greens and yellows right next to each other as it moved across right around 485 and continued off to the north and west. But let me highlight this and we'll show you exactly where that area of circulation was when they issued that tornado warning, moving off to the north and west pretty slowly at about 15 miles per hour. But typically what we have when we see storms that do have some rotation with them, they can somewhat cycle. So we'll see these storms produce a pretty good area of circulation, that pretty good couplet, and then kind of cycle or kind of weaken a little bit and then become a little bit stronger as it does so. So that is could be potentially what we're happening here because you can see the area of circulation starting to show back up once again across the area. Again, and we can take you right to street level here. There's Stowe Road, RL Stowe, Keener, up toward Parkdale Drive. This is all heading right toward those areas in Belmont. That area of circulation still looking a little bit on the broad side. Nothing that really jumps out at me at this point in order of something that's on the ground at this point, but definitely an area of rotation that we need to be concerned with as this moves right toward downtown Belmont, and showing some pretty good signs of rotation with that. So that's our WBTV radar. We'll go to reflectivity at the airport. This is going to be right at Charlotte Douglas Airport, and this is terminal velocity data. Another vantage point very close to the area of circulation, and also showing that pretty clear area of rotation there. You can see the greens and reds indicating where we do have that rotation right here, and this is all drifting pretty much due northwest right toward Belmont. So that's going to be where RL Stowe and Keener, there's that Harris Teeter there on the south side of Belmont. You got the McDonald's, the Bojangles, all up at that intersection. There's the Lowe's and Walmart. These are all areas in Belmont where this area of rotation is moving toward. South Point Church, right along Wilkinson Boulevard there. You got the Walgreens, the Taco Bell, the CVS, all of those areas, if it sounds familiar, right along Park Drive, up toward College Park Pharmacy. That's where that area of rotation is moving at this point, and a very good indication that there is some rotation with this system. And we're going to go back out to the radar that's close to GSP, the National Weather Service radar there. This is not showing as great of a couplet, which means that this is close to the ground, that area of rotation. When we get to the closer radars, that means it's closer to the surface and a little bit more ground truth to what is actually happening. You can see some torrential rainfall associated with this as well, but this is all moving off to the north and west. As Al mentioned, we are not underneath a tornado watch, but there is a tornado watch to our south, and of course we do have the flood watch to our north and west as well. But just because we're not in a watch doesn't mean that we're immune from a spin-up tornado or two happening, especially in the environment that we're setting up in right now. So this is going to be something, unfortunately, that we're going to have to deal with and watch all day long as this continues to move off to the north and west right now. No, this is our main concern, moving right into Belmont at this point. And we'll zoom in as close as we can here. And okay, so this is going to be just about to cross the Catawba River. There's Wilkinson, or 29, moving over toward I-85 as well. Got the Ken Lofton Park there right along the riverfront in Belmont. That area of circulation going to pass right over top of that and head into the Mount Holly area. At this point, it's looking like it's making a little bit of a turn to the north. Al?
All right, yeah, a couple things I want to update you on, Erica. Great job there holding it together, because I know you know that area well because you live out that way. So I know you've got some family concerns, but you did a great job. Here's the thing. I'm hearing from the National Weather Service that this couplet is sort of broadening a little bit, as Eric was explaining, meaning it's not as tight a circulation. And so they plan to let this thing expire in 5 minutes. So if you're just now joining us again, you can see at the bottom of the screen here, tornado warning. If you're in your safe place, maybe you're not seeing it. You may have the TV turned up, and that's totally okay. Till 10:15, we have a tornado warning for West Mecklenburg and East Gaston County. Now, West Mecklenburg, you can almost give you the all clear on this, but East Gaston County, we're still watching it. As Eric mentioned, these things can kind of flare up, die down a little bit, flare back up, and we're seeing this on several radars. Our radar based up in Denver doing a fantastic job with this. The radar at the terminal Doppler radar showing a couplet, but there's not a lot of wind. The inbound and outbound doesn't seem to be as serious as it looked earlier, but the idea is that we still have this warning. And in fact, we're hearing from Gaston Regional Skywarn that tornado warning sirens are going off in Ranlow and the Dallas area, but no sighting of any funnel clouds. So that's good news here. But again, let's show you what we've got going on. This is coming towards Belmont. It's a broad circulation, though. It's not as tight as it once was. It looked very impressive early on, but it appears to have weakened a little bit as it's running off towards the north and west at about 15 miles per hour. So in Gaston County, if you're in Mount Holly, this is I-85, US 74, 29, Franklin Boulevard there, just to the east of Lowell and out towards Post and Station Park, you know where you are, right in through here. Again, we're watching this circulation, but again, it's a little bit more on the broad side, so that gives us an indication that perhaps this isn't as strong as it once was. And again, it was never spotted on ground. There was always sort of this, the idea that this was radar indicated, which they do a great job. Obviously, this is our heads up. They start up there and they work themselves down. So this always gives us a good tip-off on this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's one on the ground right now. Clearly, there's been a lot of heavy rain in here, and this, as I say, may only be the first of many of these coming on through because, we're in for a first alert weather day. We've talked about this for 2, 3, 4 days now that we had this day circled, we have tonight circled, we have tomorrow morning circled as what's left of Helene will be making its closest approach to our area tomorrow morning. So between now and this thing taking off, which won't be until later Friday, we may have many, many more of these on top of warnings for flooding, which we've seen many of, but we had some tornado warnings last night. And again, we've seen already 2 tornado warnings this morning, though at no point have we gotten confirmation that any of these have actually reached the ground, but we're monitoring the situation. Eric Garlick, meteorologist Eric Garlick, and Alicia Wilson are both here in-house. Lisa and Rachel will be in for the afternoon, so we're just going to be covering this in duration. But if you're watching us now, again, if you're in the Mount Holly, Belmont area, this is coming down 273, 85 right there. We had a very tight couplet at one point. Now it appears to have weakened somewhat. National Weather Service believes there's every reason to let this thing expire. Now, having said that, there are more to the south. And again, if you're watching this to the north, say up in Lincoln County, it's highly possible that these things could spin back out. As we widen this back out, again, this is just one of many that we're watching. Eric, let's go back to the other radar where we can show, again, you can see how, yeah, there you see it. So any one of these, there's that cell coming up out of York County. There's more heavy downpours as well up here in the I-40 corridor, Morganton and north, and of course into Columbia. They've got tornado watches down there. We actually saw a warning pop up out of the Augusta area earlier this morning, and that was a telltale sign that there's some pretty unstable air down here. There's a lot of rotation. You see that often with these landfalling tropical systems. The frictional forces in play, and you get these tornado warnings. So that's what we have right now is this tornado warning, but this is going to expire here in about a minute and a half. So we're just going to monitor the situation, Alicia, Eric, and myself, and we will certainly keep you posted. Again, just understand we may be breaking in. I think it's important now to make sure you have your cell phone, all of your devices charged up for the duration of this thing. Also, have a plan if you're not in this tornado-warned area. Maybe you're in Huntersville, Concord, Indian Trail, Weddington, Shelby, wherever you are. Again, everybody is going to be fair game for these types of situations, so understand what your game plan will be. This is the time to be thinking about it. What if we get the warning for my location? Where are we going to go? Know your risk. We talk about this. If there's a creek or a stream in front of your home, how high does the water normally get when you get the kind of rain that we're talking about getting? So understand your risk and make sure that you have a game plan to evacuate if you have to or take cover in your home. Now, right now we've got, again, very heavy cell coming up through Belmont area right now, but again, this warning is likely going to expire here in about 30 seconds. So we're going to monitor this. It looks like there might be a little bit of flare up here just south of Mount Holly right now. So that's Belmont Mount Holly Road. So Eric mentioned the pharmacy there, and of course the Chick-fil-A is right in through here. And back to the west is Lowe's and Walmart. So there is definitely a little something that's popping up right there. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to let this go for a little bit longer and just monitor that situation. I don't want to break away prematurely here when we see something that's starting to fire up. Eric did a really good job explaining that these things have a tendency to sort of ramp up, die down, ramp back up, die down. And so that maybe what we're seeing here is a little bit more of a ramp up on this. So again, there's clearly a rotation in here right now. That's a little bit concerning. I'm going to send this back to Eric right now as we zoom back in. Technically, the warning is over with, but this guy knows what he's talking about as well. Eric spent 4 years in Oklahoma City. He covered these things a lot, and you can see this is Morris Chapel Road. So this is going to be just west of the Whitewater Center. Goshen Grove up here. This is Belmont 273. So Eric, I'm going to send this back to you. Again, technically the warning has now expired, but that is a pretty good couplet it looks like coming up through there as we speak. What are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, Al, you described it perfectly, going up and coming down and going up and coming down, and that's what we're going to have to deal with all day long, unfortunately. Let's go back to where this was originally at when the tornado warning was issued, and you can see a pretty decent couplet right over Shopton there, 485. and those reds and greens right next to each other. So that was when it prompted that tornado warning. So if we follow this through and kind of compare to where it is right now, not a whole lot has changed with this, becoming a little bit more broad. And what I mean by broad is the distance where the areas of rotation are kind of elongated and not necessarily tight within 1 or 2 pixels. The colors are definitely getting brighter in this area, but I think it's more of an egg shape versus that tight circle where you have those pixels that are right next to each other.
I agree with you.
So yeah, the upper level rotation might be becoming a little bit more stronger, but it is a little bit broader than when we had that original tornado warning issued. So this is with our WBTV radar. So let's jump over to the CLT terminal Doppler, and Al, you're definitely right. I'm thinking this is tightening up a little bit.
I do too. I just don't like. I don't like the looks of that.
Yeah, I don't want to jump off air just yet. But yeah, I mean, you can zoom right in and right into it and show you exactly road level. But I mean, there's not much distance in between those two areas of, it's only about a half mile or a mile where we have those couplets, and it's very easy to get one to spin up pretty quickly.
So where we're looking at right now, that's right on the Catawba River. So that's over by Caches, which is the right by Caches, the restaurant right there on the river. That's north of 85, just to the east of 273, which is the Belmont Mount Holly Road. So this is literally heading for downtown Mount Holly right now. And again, it's not the tightest couplet we've ever seen, but that's a little, it gets our attention, let's put it that way. No more so than what we saw just a little bit ago. So Eric is now shifting over to what we call the debris tracker to see if there's anything that may have gotten caught up. The sensitivity of the radar is such that it can literally pick up when we get some sort of debris, whether it's shingles or sticks or whatever. Anything that gets lofted up into the atmosphere can be picked up when we switch over to this mode. So I know this is a non-conventional mode that you're looking at the radar, and it can be confusing, but it helps us to determine if or there is or is not something happening. And right now, it doesn't look like from that vantage point, Eric, but still, we are clearly seeing a couplet here, and we're looking down because we're looking at the big monitor here. So we see you there. We know you're there. We want to make sure everybody is safe. Again, no warning right now. But we are monitoring this situation because this is any way you look at it, this is a pretty intense cell that's coming up through there right now.
Yeah, regardless, you're going to have some pretty strong winds that could down trees. Also some torrential rainfall causing ponding on the roadways or some minor flooding. I like the look of that last
Yeah, I do too.
there.
Okay, we just got a new scan there, and that gives me I'd like that a lot better. Now I feel a bit more comfortable. Maybe we put this little episode to bed right now. Alicia is here. We're going to be monitoring this situation. So we're going to go back to program. We're now at 10:19 here on this Thursday morning. Just understand, folks, before we cut away, hey, it's a First Alert Weather Day for a reason. We don't have that many of these. This is one of these days where, as I mentioned before, you want to make sure you have a game plan in play. Understand that later this afternoon, this could be quite active as well. You've got kids in school, grandkids in school. You're going to be monitoring that situation with buses on the road. Have a game plan, meaning make sure your devices are all charged up, because we may lose power in many places tonight with at least scattered power outages as the wind picks up. Know where you are in relation to water bodies with creeks and streams and rivers that may be nearby your home or your apartment. And if you're in a trailer or a mobile home, it's a great place to live about 363 days a year. There's 2 or 3 days where it's not. Today is probably not one of those days with the wind and the storms that we have coming our way. So make plans to get into a reinforced place. Call a friend, call a neighbor, call a family member where you can go and be safe and ride this thing out. All right, we're going to monitor the situation. We'll keep you posted. We're not going to try and interrupt your day any more than we have to, but we will break in where we see concern. And right now, we're okay, but just understand we may be coming back. All right, Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin with Eric Garlick and Alicia Wilson, and we will stay tuned and keep you posted.